Hey up everybody and welcome back. Alright, well it's Thursday because we were away for a few days. We were down in Baltimore. Linda's youngest grandson, well younger of the two, was graduating from high school, and for those in the UK and places, graduation here is some huge thing. Apparently finishing school is some great milestone in your life. So we had to sit in a cold sports hall thing, what we in the UK would call it, the school gym, for a couple of hours while people gave speeches and everybody came up and got a diploma and all the rest of it. Anyway, all I remember is when I got to 16, they stay till they're 18 here. They also don't, as we do in the UK, I don't know about Australia and the European countries, they don't actually have, as far as I'm aware, any examinations in individual subjects. You know, like me. Top grades, chemistry, biology, barely scraped through in maths. French was abysmal, so you knew what you were getting. Now here you sort of graduate. Just some generalised thing, you know, the teachers set your work during your course of your school career, and at the end they say, yeah, fine, you graduate. Anyway, whatever, that's where I was. So we're only going to get like Thursday and Saturday. So what are we going to do? Well, my major clear out and tidy up has continued, or it did up until we went to Baltimore, and I found the right head steadies slash decompressor cable mount for there. That's the right one to go up on there. Okay, so we will make our bracket for up here. Isn't that nice? Then I think what we're going to do is we're going to put the yolks in, because I've got the forks here upside down, making sure they're completely drained, and I've squirted some Croil, some releasing fluid stuff in to make sure we can get the fork seal covers off. So we'll be taking those apart. Unfortunately, Aid at AG Engineering did it a couple of weeks ago, so I was able to jog my memory, because it's a while since I've taken some of these forks to pieces. So we'll take them apart, put them back together, put them in. My brake plate came for the rear brake. I meant to show you it actually, well, you will see it, but the thing is I opened the box and it's clatted up with, I mean I got filthy just taking it out of the box. I don't know why people do that. But anyway, we get all that other stuff done. What I want to do is look at the front wheel, the brake torque arm, because on those B44 forks it's a block to go into a, to be a sort of locking mechanism. So we've got to come up with something for that. Can't think of anything else. We're just going to have to set to, do what we can, and at the end of Saturday afternoon, that's it for the week. So let's get stuck in and do this. I'll give it a bit of a bead blast first. We've got to find 2 bolts, and also you'll see here it's actually got 2 nuts. I've got to look in the parts book, because yeah, they just have 2 nuts, because what happens is that's a stud. The first nut is to hold the rocker box on like the other studs, and then the second nut is to bolt the actual mount on. So I've got to check to see what the threads are on this. I can manage with one, I just need to hold it down tightly so I can see how big this is going to be. Alright, so let me do that. Alright, I'll show you this, because it's one of the main reasons why I stopped doing sort of commercial work, if you like, and why I never liked doing repairs rather than restorations, where I could just, with a restoration I could just throw stuff away and buy new. But look, I've got to take these 2 nuts off. That's a Whitworth size head. That's UNF, or UNC, but unified. I don't know if you can see, but the thread there is different to the thread there, and this is only unscrewed that far and it won't go any further. Instead of getting the right nut, somebody just forced a 5/16 fine thread onto there, 5/16 UNF. So let me sort this out and then I can fasten that bracket on. So there that is on, bolted on properly, so I know it's on the right height. I've just put a 5/16 in there so that I knew it was, you know, it wasn't skew width. You'll notice the basically 3/8 hole in that is more of a slot. They're all like that. It hasn't been done by somebody else. They come like that. So actually I got the, well, I can hear a lorry coming up the hill. We'll let it go past. There it goes. Alright, so I put thread pitch gauge on this, and sure enough the bottom was BSF, which is what I expected, a slightly coarser thread to go in the alloy. The bottom part here was BSC, and the top part, so that was 24, this was 26 threads per inch, this was 22, or the other way around, whatever, this was definitely 26 BSC. So I was able to run the die down to meet up with those threads to get that nut off, so that's all done. So let me find a little piece to make a triangular piece there, which is what the standard frame has on it. Just a bolt up mount there. Where are we? That'll do. There it is against the frame, so it goes up onto the inside here. So let me cut a piece for that and drill a hole, and then we'll get it bronzed on. Then we'll take this off the welding table and we'll put it back over on the lift table so that we can mess around with forks and wheels. I'm back. I was just looking at this and I was thinking, no, I don't remember there being a great big thing like that. So I looked on the Enduro frame and there's nothing there at all. And then I went out and looked at the frame that we measured the back wheel on, and that has a little one up here. Just a small one. So I pulled the parts book out. Now I don't have a parts book for the round engine one, which is slightly earlier, but this is a parts book. Let me just swing you down here. Hold on. Oh, that's a bit, can we get rid of that glare? There. Okay, so this is the 250, which uses the same basic frame. And you'll see on this, look, that's the head steady which bolts to there. But that is actually a tube with two mounts, and then that coming down there. And that's the TR25W/C25. Here's the B44 frame, and that one, look, has got a tube which goes up to, hang on, you just can't quite see it, I don't want to get glare again, hang on, there, which goes up to the steering head plate. And I just looked at that Enduro frame, and that has this coming out part with holes there. So I think we'll do it that way. Well, what I'm going to do is weld a bracket on, or bronze a bracket on, but I can make it smaller, and then later on we can make this, as they call it, what do they call it? Number 16. Engine steady stay. Alright. Number 19. What sort of threads were they using then? 3/8 BSC. So they were still using those threads for that B44. Okay, so let me do that little thing. Right, well, so don't throw bits that you saw off things. Don't throw them away, is what I meant to say. I had two of these with a nice hole and everything, so I just cut one down, fitted it there, which I've been out and looked at a B44 frame and a TR25W frame, and they both have a mount in there. The TR25 didn't have one at the back for that tube thing, because I don't ever remember seeing one of those. The B44 does have a hole about here. Comes out there, there's a big hole there where the rubber snubbers go on for the tank, and then there's another hole here which I think is the one that goes to there. But anyway, let me bronze this on. Alright, I put the yokes in the frame, put that over there. So this is the first fork leg. I've got it round this way to show you. This is, I guess, the right hand fork leg. this is where the mudguard stays mount, and this is for the brake. Now these are steel tubes. I don't want to start cutting things off these, and I certainly don't want to weld anything on them. Probably alright, but obviously I don't want to cause any distortion at all in these, not a little bump inside or anything, or the fork won't go up and down. So we'll have to think of a way when we've got to look at the wheel to deal with this. I'm thinking of making something that fits on and drilling and tapping this so that the thing fits on from the brake plate, and we just have one bolt in to hold it so that it doesn't come off or rattle around. So let's take the, let me pull you out a little. Let's take a look at getting this oil seal holder off, which is the chrome bit. Hang on, I'll actually zoom you back in. And here, I was going to use, well, zoom you back out, the BSA fork tool, see, which has little tangs on. That slides down inside there like that, locates on some little tangs, and twists this off. But that isn't that type. See, it's got a hole in. Takes a C-spanner, which I made this up for Triumph once. I've been soaking this. I had a feeling it was going to be as hard, as difficult as this. These are old forks, very rusty in there. I think I'm going to have to put some heat on this to get it off. Open my nice new cupboard. Of course, this isn't going to do the chrome any good, but as you can see, it's already ruined. So we could persevere and persevere as we would if these were good chrome, but I do not have the inclination to do that. The other thing, of course, is holding the fork. Oh man, this is going to be one of those things that will take forever, so I'm not going to film it. I'm just going to have to keep going until I can screw this out, then I'll bring you back. Right, well, I put them in those alloy soft jaws with the V's, they're like V blocks, and that gripped it much closer, and there we go. You should see the rust in there. I think I'm going to use these. I'm just going to bead blast them, rough them up and paint them. Oh, that's right, these have to come off the bottom, don't they? Yeah. Oh, the stanchion doesn't want to move now. Why is that? Get the soft mallet. What the hell is going on here? These were just sliding up and down beautifully. Oh, I know what it is. It's because I've got it gripped in there, isn't it? See, that's why I want to weld these. Alright. Let's turn that down and put that round so that is there like that. And then, oh, hang on, you can't see it. Let me switch you off. See the bronze bush? There's our two bushes. I haven't, the part number I gave them the one for that. I must have misread it. Yeah, there's quite a lot of play in that, because they've sent me new ones of these, which are alloy, not plastic. So that means I'm going to have to order them. Oh, bugger. Alright, let's press on. So the next thing we're going to take out is the bolt that holds the little damping cone. I don't really need to take it out, I'm going to take it out to show you it. Also show you, you know, normally the bolt holding the damping rod in would be an Allen bolt to give, you know, so that they get an Allen. Not here, look. They've actually used a bolt, a hex head bolt. It's 11/32, and you can see there, look, I've got a socket that I had to turn down to fit it in there. So hopefully this will oh, there we go. I don't know, does this just turn the cone? I can't remember, it's a long time since I've done this. Yeah, and the cone has a hex on that. So what we need now is an extremely long thing with a socket on it. Let me go and find that. Alright, so it not only needed an extremely long extension, but it had to have a deep well socket to go onto the cone. So fortunately an ordinary size fitted, because I don't have any deep well widths. There's the bolt. And there is the extremely high-tech damping. Right? See? A couple of holes and a cone. And that's it. So, let me get going cleaned up. Let me go and get clean. Let me go and get, yeah, that sounds right. And have a sarnie, and then I will be back. Alright, change of plan. Seems pointless to strip these when I would just have to strip them again to replace this top bush when I get some. So what I'm going to do is put them back together. We'll put them into the yokes and then we can work on the wheel and things like that. And then when that comes, because I've got to take them apart to paint them really. So you'll see me taking all this end off and see all the holes and how everything works with that. So you probably can't see it, I don't know, but when that moves up and down there's holes showing there, and then they get covered up when these bottom holes appear and this thing is in there. So let me put these together and put them in the frame. So I put the forks back in and I'll just pop the wheel in with those, you know, the temporary pieces we made. And I'm going to show you this close up in the middle, but it looks to me as if we've dropped Lucky again and I can get that to go on there nice and easily. So let me just bring you around so I can show you. So this is the torque arm which is riveted to the brake plate, and as you can see it actually goes there exactly right. So what I'm going to do, it's slightly bent at the moment, so let me take this back out so I can take the brake plate off and straighten this up, and then what I'm going to do is just cut this out so it's a complete slot, and then I think it'll slide on there. We can maybe thicken this up to stiffen it and it'll go on there, and if it's a nice tight fit, as I say, we can always make something that just holds it on there. Remake the top so that it goes there. Anyway, let me take it off, straighten that, and just cut the slot so we can fit it on. I've straightened that out now and I've cut it to a slot. If I think it's going to be better, we can always put a top piece on, but as I say, if I make that so it's got a piece here that we can put a bolt in, and that could slot on, stick a bolt, and it'd be perfect. So let me put that on the wheel. Right, now as you see, that goes right onto there. So let me put the end caps on and get the wheels squared up. So there's the end caps on and tightened up. And as you can see, that's really nicely on there, fits in beautifully. And there's exactly 1 3/8 on each side. So the wheel's centered. That's on there. I might put an extra piece on to stiffen that up, seeing as it doesn't go all the way over the top, because it slides on. I don't know if I can swivel this round so I could get it on the way it was without it just sliding on. But anyway, that goes on. We're dropping really lucky with this front plate, which makes a change, because as you know, I'm generally making spacers and all sorts of things for this. So let's have a look at the back wheel. So here's the brake plate I got, which I've now cleaned all the grease and gunge and nastiness off. Now I noticed in the photograph that it had been welded round there. Not bad welding. So I assumed a piece had broken out or something like that. But when you look at the other side, that's perfect. So somebody's welded in a boss for some reason. Right. Now I paid next to nothing for this, I can't remember how much, and the reason I bought it even with that is because it had the arm on and it had the cam and everything. And on eBay now, when you buy a wheel or even a hub, they don't come with brake plates, they don't come with wheel spindles. The brake plates generally don't even come with this and the cam, so it was, to be honest, it was worth it for the price of them. But anyway, that goes on there. Let me put it in and then we'll look at our measurements and see how we're doing for chain line. Right, here we go. Now actually, this torque arm, I can get a bolt in. It's unfortunately at the wrong end of the travel. This is up here, so it would have to go that way, and this is at this end of the travel. But again, we can just extend that, that'll be handy. So, according to the original measurements for the B44, from the outside of here to the outside of the sprocket, which is just on the inside of this brake plate, It's 1 3/8 inches. That is only an inch. So we're going to have to move that over 3/8 of an inch. So that's fine, because it's a bit close here, so that's a 3/8 spacer to go in there. But as I say, we're miles out on this side. I'll be making a new wheel spindle up because the swinging arm is so much wider, and I'm still reckoning on that's got to go over 3/8. This side we've got 2 inches. So take off 3/8, say take off half an inch. So that's 1.5 inches, but I don't want it right. So I think I'm going to put an inch in, and that'll give me about a 1/2 inch space in each side, which is fine. That gives me enough room to fiddle around. So we're going to have to do this hub 1 inch wider and repair all of these. Okay, that's all not looking too bad. All right. This is second time round. I just told you all this, but I forgot to press the record button. Alright, it's Saturday morning, so we'll press on and see what we can do today. I was going to make up the wheel spindles, but they are 17mm, which is basically 5/8 here, and 14mm there. Metric bearings, 6203 here, which is 1740 OD, and I think 6002 at the front, 1435, something like that. And all I've got of 4140, I guess the solid round, is 3/4, and I'm not going to turn it down to make these. I'll just order some metric size actually. So that put that off. So what we'll do is we'll do the rear wheel. I'll cut the spokes out. My friend wanted me to save the rim, but well, he wouldn't want the spokes anyway. And anyway, this rim's shot. So I'll cut the spokes out and we'll widen the hub the 1 inch. If I've still got the material to do that. Anyway, if I don't, we'll get the what's the round and round thing called on the mill? Oh God, it'll come to me. And we'll fix these broken things. What the hell do they call that? The rotary table. I'll get the rotary table out, I'll put it in that, get it set up, and go around and mill those down and make some pieces to go on them. So one way or another, we'll get some work done on this rear hub. Alright, so let me cut these spokes out. Right, I've got the spokes all out, and this is held in by a threaded disc to hold the bearing in this side, which you need a pin spanner to take out really. But my pin spanner, I only have one. The pins are too big to fit in there, so I just gave it a quick tap with a punch, and actually I gave it a soaking coil as well. It's coming out, so there you go, I see. That might almost just swivel out. Yeah. So there's that to be put to one side. That'll wipe off. Okay, now we can knock the bearings out. So let's start by knocking that one out first. Uh-oh, what have we done with it? There it is. We'll use the brass hammer. Cover your ears. So there we have that out. You notice there's a there, and that this has collars rather than a spacing tube, because if it was a through one it would have a spacing tube, but when they're sort of clamped up like this, they could be turned with a shoulder for the bearing to go up against. So I'm just going to leave that together. See, that one's got an O-ring as well. We're going to put sealed bearings in. Okay, so obviously I'll need that. We'll put that to one side. Let me knock the other bearing out. Right, so I got the bearings out. I gave it a quick bead blast. What I should have done, of course, just so as you know, although I didn't need to measure any offset or anything, I should have made a note, a drawing, a photograph of the way the spokes crossed. But I'm not bothered, because of course I have the same rear hub in the Enfield. So I can go and look at that and see how many spokes they cross and which way they go and so on. But I should have made my little drawing. Alright. Now this thing is made up in 3 pieces. Well, at least 3. This is cast. See the casting marks in there. Then this piece is pressed in. And then this piece is pressed on, and I don't know if you can see, but it's welded as well. It's spot welded. Alright, so let me go and look, see if I've got... I bought some thick wall tube to make this piece up for the other one, so I obviously didn't buy 2 inches of it, so I must have a piece of this done. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it in the lathe, we're going to grip it on the inside of this, and actually I should have left a bearing in there. I should have, I'll knock a bearing back in there for the centre to fit into. Doesn't even need to be the live centre since it's a bearing, just to give some support here. Then we'll cut this in 2, and we can actually do that whether I've got the tube or not, because I can still mount it on the rotary table. Alright, so let me go and check material and put this bearing back in. Now I don't have any thick wall tubing that's suitable, so I've got a feeling I must have made it up out of this piece of round, because this is 1 3/4, but we want to be able to sleeve inside of that. Right, so we want the OD for the inch. It's actually going to be 1 1/8 inches, as I'll explain, to be 1 3/4, but then we want it to fit into there a little ways. So I don't know, let's say this is 1/8 inch tube, that's 1/4 inch, so then it wants to be 1.5 inches to fit into there, and then a reasonable thickness of wall to make the whole thing strong enough. So really I only want about a 1 inch hole in the centre of this, and then what would that, yeah, a 1 inch hole would give you a 1/4 inch wall, and then 1/8 inch wall for that, and it would all work out. And then that's not that big a job to do that. We turn it down to 3/4 and then turn down a bit at each end to 1.5 inches or whatever we measure this internal diameter to be, and then we'll drill it. We can drill it, it doesn't have to be an exact size hole, we can drill it out to 15. I know I've got a 15/16 drill. Well, actually I've got larger drills that fit into the taper in the headstock. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do, although we're going to have different length spokes slightly, as I say, we've got to have the same cross pattern and so on. What we've also got to do is have the same relationship between these spoke holes and those spoke holes. So what we're going to do is, I'll use this, and we're going to put a mark on. Like that, so we can line it up. What I'm also going to do, just to be on the safe side, is I'm going to put a couple of little pop marks, and then we'll know exactly where we are. Alright, so let me, I still haven't put this bearing in, put the bearing in and set it up in the lathe. So I've got this set up in the lathe. As I say, I'm gripping the inside of the brake drum. I've got live centre in here. I put a bearing in there, but say with there being a bearing, it doesn't need to be a live centre, but that's what was to hand. So I put my little pop marks on that line just to make sure I don't sort of miss seeing it. And the reason I'm mentioned about putting a 1 1/8 inch spacer in there, I want an inch, but this parting tool is basically 1/8 of an inch. It's actually 0.118. I haven't measured it. So if we just put, say that's 2 inches, once I've cut it, it's actually only 1 7/8 inches when you put it back together. So if I put an inch in, it would be 2 7/8 instead of 3 inches long. So let me cut that off. I'm just going to cut it off. It's awkward to get you in with the camera here. I'm not going to prat around with all sorts of strange camera mounts when you've seen cut-offs before. So let me just cut this off and then we'll go to the next stage. So there it is, cut off, and I've beveled each edge for when we put our piece in to do the weld. So that's going to go on there with a piece in it. Now, once more to forestall comments, if any of you wondered why when this was in the lathe, or why I didn't turn it round and grip this and use the lathe to take these off, it's because I actually want to do them with the an end mill so that I get a curve, a little cut into there, so that I can use a fractionally larger piece, because that's 1/4 inch hole. They were threaded. I'm not going to thread the new pieces. We're going to bolt through with a lock nut on the back, and let's see, so they're 1/4 inch holes, and that is almost a 1/2 inch, right? So if I use a 1/2 inch, if I just turn that down, I'd only be able to, well, I'd get to there, but I actually want to go right in. Anyway, I prefer to do it on the mill. Okay. Right, so let me now get this piece and start turning that down. First of all, we'll face it off, turn it down to 3/4, then turn that down to 1.491. So these wall thicknesses are 135, just over 1/8. Alright, so let me get my exact measurements and then we'll start turning this. So I've turned the piece down to 1 3/4, so that's the OD of this and the other piece, right? So hang on, that is going to match up, see, with that. Let me do it. So now I'm going to turn this, which is just on 7/8, down to be the ID of this, so that'll go on. And what I'm going to do is take it close and then check this, because these IDs aren't perfect. I could put it in, I suppose, and, you know, bore the inside exactly the same on both of them, but this is just as easy. They're not far out. I just don't want to take it to a fixed number and then find it slack in one side. So let me take this down. It's to 1.5, I think. Let's put my finger on that greasy bearing. .494. So you take it round to this. 1.490. So as I say, it's not exactly round. So let me do that. Okay, so there it is turned down. See, that's just a nice fit. I'm going to press these on, so that is perfect. Right, so let me do the other end, and then we'll drill a nice big hole through it. Right then, I've done the other side. I've got about a half a thou over. It's an easier fit. See? Push that one on. So anyway, that's good. Right, now this is 1.5 inches, so as I say, we're going to drill a nice big hole through there, so that not only will the wheel spindle go through, but we'll have enough for that sleeve that the inner races of the bearing will press up against. So let me get, I don't know, 5/16 to go through there, and then we'll gradually get bigger. Right, I've got both ends done to the appropriate size. 1 1/8 inches there, which will extend it 1 inch, and I've got a border, I've got it drilled out to 1 inch. So I'm just going to take some more out with a boring bar to give us plenty of room for that sleeve I was talking about. Alright, just to keep you happy, I'll show you some boring. Yes, how very apt. Quite a long stick out for a boring bar this thick. What have I got this on? 320. Yeah, that'll work. And on this lathe I have it's just a mechanical stop, but I've put it just where the boring bar fits through, so I can keep an eye and I know when I'm getting close. It doesn't switch the lathe off or anything, but at least you can set it so you can, particularly if you're doing 2 or 3 pieces, you can go through to the same spot each time. God, this is exciting. I don't know how I stand it day after day. You'd think I'd have a nervous breakdown. I might have to have a drink of water and I'll lay down when this is finished. Getting close. Alright, that's it. And knowing that most of my viewers are, shall we say, at a mature point in life, I don't want to get you overexcited, so let me finish this off camera. Right, so there it is, finished. I actually found out if I switched it round the other way, because as I say, these holes are slightly different, it fits nice and tightly in both ends. So there it is, turned out, plenty of room for the wheel spindle and a spacer. So that's that done. Now then, let me show you something else. So there's that on the rotary tape. I don't think I did this on the rotary table last time, because one of those things I've been going to buy ever since I bought this. I don't have a chuck that goes on here, so I was thinking I'll clamp it down to the middle, but I can't, because if I'm going to put it on the rotary table I need to centre this. So I would have to centre the rotary table, then put that on, but I couldn't centre that if I have it clamped down that way, and I haven't got any other way to clamp this. So I think, because I distinctly remember clamping it through the middle, that I just put this onto the table, clamped it down. I think I might have put a couple at the side so that it didn't do this, and then I just moved the X and Y axis and used the holes to line up. You know, put a 1/4 inch piece in there, get it in nicely in the hole, take the 1/4 inch out, put the 1/2 inch end mill in. So it's clocking on a bit, but let's see if I can at least get this set up. Alright, hang on, let me move you. So I've got it fastened down through the middle and at both sides. I've checked that it's nice and horizontal and everything, and I've got whatever it is. What size is that? Because although they're 1/4 inch bolts, of course, they're 7/32 was the hole size. So that's a 7/32, and it fits nice and snugly in there. And I'm going to work my way around here. So it goes nicely into that one. So I'm going to try using 1/2 inch end mill just in the drill chuck. I'm not sure if it'll grip it tightly enough. If it doesn't, because I don't want to keep taking the chuck out, putting an end mill holder in backwards and forwards like that, what I will do is find each hole with the DRO on and just record the position. This would have been so much easier if I could have used the rotary table and just wound these round, but till I buy myself a chuck, that's not on the cards. Alright, so let's have a look. Tell you what, let's do one at the front first. Hang on, I'm going to move you. So that's set up, going nicely into that one. I'm going to be turning it on and off because the battery's nearly gone. Right, we're all set. I've decided to move the clamps to the top because this is a bit angled, and so it's clamped 3 good places now. I hope the battery doesn't go, because it means I'll have to go up to the house to get the other one. You know what, I think I could do with the 9/16 one. Right, I've got a couple of 9/16, they're all double-ended, so I can't fit them in here. So I'm going to do the other thing, I'm going to find where all these are, record them, but the battery's nearly gone. It's getting on for 5 o'clock on Saturday, so sorry, that's going to be it for this week. We'll start straight away on with this on Monday morning. Okay, so until then, you stay safe and enjoy yourselves.